welcome. So I hope you're all in good health. Okay, so let's sing some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Shvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sam Jivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasha Kripas Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So please unmute yourself if you want to dialogue. So I believe that last week you covered mostly with Raghunath Das Goswami's Manashiksha, he told me. That was a good initiative. Actually, sometimes it's good to break away from the ruts. And anyway, I understand he took a little break from the Gita. Okay, so did he cover the Gita at all? Or?
Yeah, he covered some of the Gita. Okay. We read for a little bit.
So can you please sum it up, Sorel?
Do what?
Sum up what was covered.
Honestly, Jakob, take it away because I don't remember.
Okay.
That's the truth. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So Jacob, you want to help?
The first half of the class, like you said, we covered the Manashiksha, and then the second half of the class, we just read through a part of the Gita. I don't believe we finished chapter 1, but with our homework, we did.
Yeah, because he told me to start off from 129. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that was about it.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to recap a little bit what was covered, at least in that 1 hour session? Or perhaps, anyone can participate. You can give little tidbits and bits, each one of you. What are we talking about here? What is the name of the chapter, first of all?
Observing the armies.
Yeah. So Arjun Vishad Yog. Vishad means what? Vishad. Vishad means lamentation. That's one title. It can be called Shenya Darshan. Shenya means soldiers. So basically the darshan of the soldiers. Of course, we spend a lot of time on Mahabharata. Always bear in mind this Gita is a tiny bit taken off the Mahabharata. So especially the first chapter, unless and until we have somewhat relative good understanding of the Mahabharata, we don't understand what's going on, basically. That's why I gave the historical setting of this battle. Why this battle? So basically, in plain and simple words, what did we see in the very first part of the of the Gita. You may look at your manual because the subsections are quite clear there. What did we see? Let's have a small recap. On the part of Duryodhana, what was his skill? Even though he's a rascal, we know that, but still, we cannot deny that he's quite gifted when it comes to
Leading an army.
diplomacy. Rajaniti is called in Sanskrit, and the statesmanship. When you are Kumar, Rajkumar, especially in your early days, you go through statesmanship, Rajaniti school, and they're expert in diplomacy. And he definitely he excels in this. Remember can you give a few, one or even one is sufficient because I don't want to backtrack too much, but at least one example of his diplomacy, of his astute.
Dronacharya, I say beware of his student, Kristajumna, whom he taught.
Excellent. Drupad Dimahi Dimata, this intelligent son of Drupad, who took birth to kill you, by the way, my dear Guru. And still he trained him up thoroughly, just like he trained Arjuna and the Kauravas. So that's detachment, basically. You're training the person who's going to kill you. So he's reminding that to Drone to incite his anger, but in a subtle way. Okay, so then the next subsection after that was
signs of victory.
Yeah. Remember, I think I gave some preparations for war, signs for victory. Remember?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
The blowing of the conch shell.
the blowing of the conch shell. So we'll go into the next section after that. But yes, let's go for the signs. Yeah, victory. So many blowings of the conch shell, the flag of Hanuman. Hanuman is born on the flag of Arjuna.
The chariots given by Agni Dev to
Excellent.
Arjuna.
Yeah.
And Krishna was on their side.
That's the Madhav. Madhav. The first name of Krishna in the Gita is Madhav. You go to Mayapur, Shishirada Madhav. What's the meaning of Madhav?
Goddess of fortune.
Yeah. So, wherever you find, I mean, Lakshmi is obviously her husband is extremely fortunate. Or it could be also the other way around.
Could you repeat that? So Madhava means husband of the goddess of fortune?
Madhav.
Yeah.
Madhav. Mayapur, Shishirada Madhav. So, yes. Go look at them. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's asking whether Madhav mean the husband of the goddess of fortune. This is the meaning of Madhav.
Yeah, that's the meaning. Yeah. So even the shank, the conch shell themselves, it's one of the emblem of Lord Vishnu. He's got 4 emblems. One is the shank. Shank means victory. Yeah. So definitely, by all means, even Duryodhana gave somewhat of an indirect clue that they're going to be defeated when he said, all these men are ready to lay their lives for me. Remember? So that's going to happen. They're going to die. Everyone's going to die, basically. So now something quite peculiar occurred, 21-22. Senayo ubayo madye ratam stapaya metyut. It's quite peculiar. I mean, remember, this battle didn't happen on the spur of the moment. It's been brewing for decades, basically. And all of a sudden, 21-22, Arjuna is saying, Senayo ubayo madye, please bring my chariot between the 2 armies, as if to say, I want to check out who is across the other party. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't he know? Doesn't he know by now? So there's something fishy going on. And how does Lord Krishna react to that? How does Lord Krishna react to this plea of Arjuna?
Lord Krishna just obeyed the Arjuna and just brings the chariot in between the.
Yes, so that's quite amazing in and of itself. It's the supreme personality of Godhead. It's Param Tattva, Param Brahman, Param Dham, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. It's basically the supreme. Swayam Bhagwan. Of course, you may say this Krishna is Vasudeva Krishna. That's true. But still, it doesn't object Parsarati, that is the first coming on stage. What is the form of Krishna coming on stage first in the Gita? Parsarati. Parsarati means it's the charioteer of Part. Part is Arjun. He's getting that name from Pritha. The son of Pritha means Part. So it's quite laudable on the part of God. He's coming as a servant of his devotee. That's indicative of his mood, Bhakta Vatsal. He doesn't object. He just, drive the chariot in between. And now we're coming practically to today's lesson. 27. I was giving you in the homework itself. I wanted to. You have to be on top of the Pancha Shamshaya, the 5 doubts. Panch Tattva, 5. Shamshaya. Shamshaya means doubts. Because bear in mind that Krishna is going to reply to those 5 doubts throughout the whole Gita, not only for 1 or 2 chapters, throughout the whole Gitas. I would say in a disorderly manner. At first sight, it seems disorderly, but Krishna he knows where he's driving at. He wants to convince. You cannot fight if you're doubtful about the outcome. There's no way. You cannot even advance in life if you're doubtful, isn't it? So this applies to all of us. We are perplexed. We have to get rid of this perplexity. Best shot is to approach a guru. So here, please remind me, track down the arguments of Arjuna. First one is coming here, right here, 27, look it up. Kripaya paraya vishto. Kripa means?
Passion.
Yeah, kripa means compassion. But kripaya para, it's a higher compassion, superior. And there's different types of compassion. Surit, Daya, but here we're talking about a high type of grading of compassion for the kis and kin, we say, and the very close ones. It's not a compassion for outsiders, it's very advanced, superior type of compassion. So we could say, actually, we cannot deny that these arguments of Arjuna are extremely well funded, morally, materially. They are well funded. We cannot deny. Practically any layman will righteously side on the side of Arjuna, isn't it? If you at first glance, if you ask anyone in the street, who is right here? Don't you agree, Soraya? People will
Sorry,
think.
I'm catching up on stuff. I was copying down the meaning of kripaya paraya.
Yeah. So basically, anyone will readily admit that Arjuna is right. And there's some truth to it. But Lord Krishna is going to come from a totally different slant, totally different perspective. Right? The Supreme. So obviously, he's got a full picture. The full picture. We never have the full picture. There's one person who's got the full picture. It's Lord Krishna. Mahaprabhu, Jagannath, Lord Krishna, all the same. But unless you're God, you don't have the full picture. We have to really bear that in mind. Even though we're very advanced. If Krishna wants you to have punctually the full picture, this may happen. But as a Jiv, difficult to have the full picture as a Jivatma. So please try to tell me what's wrong with the first so-called compassion of Arjuna. Sounds good, we should be, I mean, protective of everyone, what to speak of our dear ones. What's wrong with this argument, basically?
It's misplaced compassion.
Yes.
And basically because it shows that Arjuna is too attached to his body and his familial connections.
Yeah.
And he's not seeing things from that zoomed out perspective and realizing that his true happiness comes from serving Krishna.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Anyone wants to add up to that, Vimesh? Any more arguments on this one? The misplaced compassion of Arjun?
Even as a part of a role that he's playing as a Kshatriya, he should be neutral. He should not be siding to his family members. If there is a differences like a fight between dharma and adharma, then he should side with dharma.
Yeah.
Just because they are the family members, he should not support or have some partiality towards others.
Yeah. Who is the epitome of that? Who is the Supreme himself has played a role? I won't give you a hint. I want you to find out. He was the epitome of neutrality. Back in Treta Yuga.
No.
Lord Ram. Ramadimurtishu Kalaniyamina. You have seen when Maya Sita was rescued, when Ravan was killed, Lord Ram portrayed himself as even kind of rejecting Sita. I cannot take you back. You've been spending time here. Who knows what happened? Ravan was so lusty. He was practically indifferent. And even the demigods had to show up on the stage to, my dear Lord, this is your concert. But what was he trying to achieve? He wanted to prove that we should not be partial, and basically he wanted to prove the supreme chastity of Sita. And as we know, the fire was lit up. She entered, and the other side, she came out in the arms of Agnidev, and that was the real Sita. So many times Lord Ram showed that. Even remember, he was incognito, moving about in his kingdom, and he overheard. Remember the story?
Yeah.
He overheard that man talking to his wife. You spend overnight somewhere. You think I'm going to take you back? I'm not like Ram. I'm not like Ram. And Ram went back to the castle, and he banished Sita. It's quite a heavy episode. Huh? And she was pregnant. Can you imagine? She was pregnant. She took shelter of Valmiki's ashram, and she delivered Lavkush. And then shortly after that, basically, the earth opened again, and she was followed by her mother, Bhumi. So, Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, very, very expert in those things. It should be, even Lord Ram said, even if Ravan become surrendered to me, I will accept him immediately. Whether it's, this is Dharma. If you protect Dharma, Dharma will protect you. Okay, so let's move into today's verse, because basically I think we have caught up to wherever you left off. Yeah. So 29. You can read out, anyone. Okay, Jacob, you want to read out 29?
My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning.
Yeah, so that's it's quite a statement. My Gandiva bow is slipping from my hand. Arjuna had taken the vow, whoever claimed to separate me from my Gandiva bow, I'll kill him. So it's not a small statement. And you can see how much is affected. Gandiva is slipping from his hand. So it's quite a big reality. Okay, so 30. 30. We're
And-
going to move into different arguments gradually.
30, I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon.
Yeah, so basically up to 35 here, we're moving into a different argument of Arjuna, a different doubt. I would name it the number 2, doubt. Let's carry on up to, I would say, 35 in one go, because it's all the same argument. You can carry on, whoever, I don't see how any good can come. 31, and you can even read out up to 35.
Do you want me to keep reading?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties, and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the 3 worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
Yeah, exactly. So which doubt are we talking about here? I mean, it's there in order. We discussed about compassion. Number 2 is enjoyment. What do I mean by enjoyment? It transpires here in this section.
Arjuna is unsure if he'll even be able to enjoy the kingdom, having killed all of his kinsmen and opposing on the side of the opposing army.
Yes, it's not worth it, Krishna. At the cost of the lives of our family members. I mean, how can I enjoy if my friends are not around? You're going to a party, you're alone. I mean, what's going on? There's no one in the party. Why do non-devotees go to party? We may go to a spiritual party, get together, like the other day. What happened? I'm trying to remember. Dhananjay Prabhu, my godbrother, he lives down the road. He just put up a nice feast and he invited many old timers, and so we had nice prasad, we play bhajan, kirtan. That's our party, basically. If I get there and they say, look, come, and we're only the 2 of us, of course I'm gonna like it, but if there's a whole bunch of devotees that I know from old timers and all, it adds up to the fun, isn't it? So in the same way, materially, that's the same thing, actually. Yeah. And of course, it comes out in the homework. I ask you this expression, nimittani cha pashyami. How can you break it down? Nimittani in 30. Nimittani cha pashyami. What's the meaning of that? It reveals the mood, the consciousness of Arjuna. Nimittani cha pashyami. Srila Prabhupada capitalizes on that in the purport, 30. Nimittani, viparitani.
Was he only able?
Sorry?
He said by killing his relatives and friends will.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I think I shut you off, Golokananda. I made a mistake, perhaps. Can you please? Yeah, go ahead. You can speak now because
Arjun is arguing that if he kill all his relatives, he will see only evil.
Yeah. Pashyami means to see. My dear Krishna, nimittani cha pashyami viparitani means I only see causes of infortune, misfortune. Why should I bother to fight? I look ahead, it's gloomy, it doesn't look good, I don't do it. This is material judgment. I'm not hungry, I'm not cooking. You know, just imagine a mother tells you, well, I'm not hungry, it's too hot, I don't cook. This is material. It's not even on the platform of duty. Duty means goodness. My children are quite hungry. It's 30 degrees, 35. Kitchen is hot already. I have to cook. Mother knows that. Whereas Nimitani, Chapashyami, Viparitani, I see only causes of it doesn't suit me. It doesn't propel my benefit. Where is my benefit? Where is my pleasure in this? That's selfishness. So that's enjoyment. I want to enjoy the victory by myself and my friend. Where are my friends? They're all gone. I'm not fighting. I'm out of here. You know. So that's the second argument. In plain and simple words. Anyone want to add up anything to that? And of course, it's very interesting because even though Arjun is speaking out un-Krishna conscious statements, still, while doing so, he calls Lord Krishna by particular names that reveals he's still trying to beseech his help. Look at 32. Govind. And Govind, he calls Krishna Govind. What's the meaning of Govind?
Want to give pleasure to the cow and the senses?
Exactly. He got that name from Indradev. If you go to Govinda Kund near the Govardhan Hill, you will see that Kund. When Indradev made a big blunder, stealing what did he do? When was the rains? Yeah, trying to flood Vrindavan. That's major blunder. So he got that name from that. Govind. So basically, in that sense, you know, my dear Govind, you know the activities of all the senses because you are Sarva Vedagya. Please understand my mind, Krishna, and tell me what is best for me. I don't know personally what will satisfy me. So even though he's putting out arguments not to fight, which, are material basically, but still between the lines, he's still pleading. He's still having some entreaty. I want to be helped. I know the pleasures of a kingdom will not be sufficient to grant me happiness. So please tell me, as a friend, we are cousin brothers. We have been doing so many things together. Please tell me as a friend, what will satisfy me? You are Savagya. You can answer everything. So in that sense, Okay, so let's move on. Let's go to the third reason, starting from 36. Go ahead. Vignesh, if you want, you can read.
Yeah. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
Yeah, exactly. So it goes on. It goes on 36. This definitely. What is the argument all about here? That's number 3 argument. Papam evashrayat asman. What's the meaning of pap?
Sin.
Sin. Pap means sin. Simple. So obviously, this one is quite straightforward. What is he afraid of?
Behaving sinfully.
Yeah. Which is apparently a very good reason not to do a mistake, not to do an activity, obviously. But is that sufficient? No. He's afraid. So again, remember just the difference of consciousness. remember the story? Narad one time told the gopis, Lord Krishna is having a headache, and he told that the remedy consists of, if I get the dust of the feet of my devotees on my head, then I can be healed, I can be cured. When Narad asked the queens of Dwarka, what did they say?
They considered it sinful to give the dust to the head of the Lord.
They felt bad, but I know I cannot do that. It's the Supreme Lord, because it's parental. I mean, not parental, conjugal love, but svakiya. It's still endowed with Aishvarya a little bit. Mahatma Gyan Prem. It's called Mahatma Gyan Prem. When Narad asked the gopis, what did they say? Please. Yes, Goloka.
They said, as long as Krishna's headaches we go away, we're ready to do anything for Krishna.
Yeah, and Narad told them, be careful. Can you imagine? He's the supreme. You may go to hell. Doesn't matter.
You're going to hell as long as Krishna will be.
Yeah, this is Keval Prem. This is Keval Prem, pure Prem. So Arjuna obviously, is thinking still about the sin, which is fine, but sin is pertaining to this world. Mahaprabhu very clearly in the CC says, Manu Dharma, all this Shub, Ashub, piety and piety, it's all Manu Dharma, mental concoction. And the supreme Dharma is pleasure of Krishna. So obviously Arjuna is not there. But remember, it's a 45-minute discussion. It's not going to last long. He's putting himself in that frame of mind so Gita can be spoken out. Otherwise, it'd be no Gita. That's why he's playing splendidly the role of a conditioned soul. So you will see, I mean, perhaps you may have at least one or two arguments how to defeat that sin, how to refute this argument of sin. And maybe two, I mean, I don't know if you have gone that far in the Gita, but.
Well, one of them's right there in the purport the purport of 36, where it says that this kind of saintliness is not for a Kshatriya.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It says it's seen more as he should not be cowardly. So it's seen more as being cowardly. Exactly.
And later, Krishna will say, do you think, my dear Arjuna, that Duryodhana and Karna are going to swallow that you are just fleeing for the sake of compassion? Do you think they're going to swallow that? They will ridicule you. You're a Maharati. You can kill 10,000 soldiers in one go. Oh, I fled because of compassion, my dear boys. Do you think they're going to swallow it, Arjuna? They will laugh at you. They will mock at you. And I will laugh also, Arjuna. I will laugh at you also. 3.5, everyone is bound to act according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes. You want to run away? Well and good. You will see that because of your guna karma, you will come back and you will fight whatsoever, but you will not fight for me, and I will laugh. So, yes, we cannot get away. Like she said, Sorel, she's right. We have to engage our dharmic nature, gunic, karmic nature, gunic, according to the modes.
Also, it is a duty of the Kshatriya.
Yes, automatically.
To engage in battle, to kill each other. There's no sin incurred when you.
There's no sin, even you take on a very material platform. If you are, I mean, the whole world is all strewn with battles since time immemorial. No one will, on the contrary, they will get a medal. Oh yes, my dear general, he killed so many enemy foot soldiers. Okay, let's give him a medal, recognition. If you kill one man in the civilian world, you go to jail for 30 years. So, it's all about what is the purpose of that killing. If that purpose is bona fide, legitimate, then it's fine. what to speak here. Lord Krishna wants it. Glanir bhavati bara. There's discrepancy. There's discrepancy. So Krishna, Duryodhana basically was the recruiting agent of Krishna. Instead of going here and there to kill all these asuras, let them gather in one go. I'll do the job. I want Arjuna to do the job in one go. Finish. 50 crores. And what's amazing is, actually, if we boil it down to what it is, there's many reasons for this battle. One of the reasons that comes to mind is to enthrone who? Which personality Lord Krishna wanted to enthrone? The big brother of Arjuna. His name is?
Oh, enthroned? Sorry, Yudhishthir.
Enthrone, yeah. Yudhishthir. So in one sense, if you look at it very bluntly, 50 crore people are going to die, 540 million people, just to put one man on the throne. I mean, isn't that totally mind-boggling? And people are shocked. People could be shocked. And on top of that, when Yudhishthira got re-enthroned, he just ruled 37 years, max 38 years. He didn't rule long. So you can see Lord Krishna is not sentimental at all. But of course, there's side benefits. Whoever dies on the battle in front of Lord Krishna either got liberation, going back to Golok, or at least going back to the sun or whatever, but at least promotion was there. Even the enemies. That's the greatness of having Lord Krishna on the battlefield, even not fighting. His very presence was symbolic of immense benefit for all, including the enemies, the apparent enemies. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Now let's move into, yes, starting from 39, you go ahead, 30, okay, you read 37. You can read out because here it's going to last for a long time. The next argument is quite solid, very solid. You can read out from 37 up to 43. Yeah. Golokai, if you want, you can read.
Yeah. Oh, Janardana, also these men overtaken by greed see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Why should we, with knowledge of the sin, engage in these acts
Of sin? Yeah, that's the continuation of Pap, but let's start with 39. 39 is a different one. It's a very lofty argument. All the way 39 to 43 in one go.
Okay, with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligious practice. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vishnu, come unwanted progeny. When there is an increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations of food and water to the ancestors.
Yeah, so go all the way to 43.
Okay, due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Okay. O Krishna, maintainer of people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwells always in hell.
Yeah, that's a very big one. It's got many side effects, lots of sub reasons. It's a lofty argument of Arjuna. We should master all these finicky arguments. It will be helpful for your exam. and even for your knowledge, because the whole Gita basically is, what is it? It's just defeating those 5 arguments. So, I mean, if you get the proper questions and the proper answers, you have the Gita in your pocket. I mean, if I may say, to some extent, because it's a spiritual affair. Gita has to do with your consciousness, obviously. But we should understand very intimately the reasons of Arjuna for not fighting, and we should see the mastership of Krishna in defeating, pummeling down. I mean, he's going to hit the nail each time, many times, very expertly, throughout the whole Gita. So basically here, starting from 39, what is it all about? He's putting forward.
He doesn't want to fight because of the results of destroying the dynasty.
Yes. So let's get into that because it's quite dense. It's very dense. Why is he saying that? Well, it goes, you know, it's like, how do you say, incremental, I think you say in English, incremental, one leads to the other. Just bear in mind, just try to visualize the scene. There's about, as I said, 600 million people assembled here. Understand? 600 million means twice America. Approximately, I don't know. But a lot of people are there. So they're all going to die. So from the days of the elders, what's going to happen? Start from that point. Try to visualize, try to project yourself ahead of the battle. Battle hasn't even started. It's going to start anytime. So Arjuna is projecting himself, you know. We have to put ourselves in his shoes to understand his mind. So from the death of the family members, my dear Krishna, what will happen? What is the next step?
Corruption, woman.
Not immediately. Not immediately. Let's try to be systematic.
The family tradition is destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite obvious. If you have no elders around, how can you bring up properly the youngsters? By the way, if you look at World War II, if you look at the level of faith in Germany after World War II, all the women left alone. They lost their faith. It was, you can look it up in the history book. The practice of the Christian practice in Germany dropped drastically. Why? Because I lost my husband, I lost my brother, I lost my son. No way that exists. So again, the argument of Arjuna is steeped apparently in wisdom and in reality. But yes, you're right, Jacob. The eternal family tradition is vanquished. Who's going to rear up the youngsters? And then from that, family becomes involved in adharma. That's nasty. This is exactly what's happening today in the world. And then you can, I think Goloka mentioned that. Yes, we're coming to who is the upholder of religion. The upholder of religion in many ways is women, because they carry progeny. So if they become polluted, the story is over practically. Why is that? And I ask a question on this actually, because if we put ourselves in the shoes of, you know, Kali Yuga person today, they will find lots of faults with Srila Prabhupada, especially on this point. When it comes to women, it's a big thing, especially in France, you know, big thing. I don't know about America, but
No, it's huge here.
it's huge.
Yeah.
There's always argument, even among some of the devotees. woman.
Yeah, if you, I was told, I lived in America, I remember long back, many times in my life, I mean, different portions of, different intervals, I would say. I remember if you pass a bad statement on a woman, she can sue you, isn't it? In America, I think it's even more, it's tougher than France. She can sue you, isn't it? I don't know, but you
I
tell
wouldn't
me.
be surprised.
Sorry?
I said I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
If you say, let's say, a sexist statement or something, she may, if she's in a good mood, fine, but if she's in a bad mood, she can sue you. So, you know, we have to understand thoroughly this issue, because many devotees I've seen, including ladies, they cannot get it right. So first of all, let's try to be systematic before we address this issue on ladies. First cause is family tradition. Family tradition is finished, basically. First of all, even prior to that, death of family members, elders. Then family tradition is gone, corrupted, vanquished. Then automatically no more elders are around, so the family tradition gradually becomes involved in the religion. You can see that today, because parents are very lenient and they haven't brought up their progeny into dharmic or even mainstream religion. Practically, that's gone also. Practically, the children are stepping on the parents when it comes around 15, 16. I'm going out, mom. Yes, don't come back too late. Yes, if I can. You know, basically, they run the show. Isn't it true? And who knows what they do up to 1 or 2 in the morning. So we have to be quite, you know, aware of the systematic degradation. If you have any questions, you please stop me. We could add up also within the family tradition being vanquished, the Vanashram Vedic ritualistic gone with the wind, you know, the Vedic rituals, because in those days they were doing Vedic rituals, you know, marrying when you marry the daughters, you marry the sons, you have to organize all this samskar properly, you know. But if the elders are gone, who's going to do it? And hell will await both family and the destroyer of the family. So now let's discuss about this womanhood. This is important to understand properly. And I think I gave an homework on this. Huh? I have to admit, Vignesh, you did a very, very good job on this question. Huh? And after hearing the others, I will have you speak out your answer, actually. Okay, well, let's start with the ladies. Sorel answered properly also, to some extent. What would you say, Sorel?
Do you want me to read out my
about putting down ladies? How would you reconcile?
Okay, so I answered that I do not think that he's putting down ladies. I think that he's speaking more in terms of multiple things. He's speaking more in terms of women's character and like just how our nature is as nurturers and mothers, and karmically speaking, being born in a woman's body, which generally is physically less strong than men. And we are, I think when he says intelligence, like not as intelligent, he's meaning more that like we can be misled easier because of our emotional, like we're more emotionally driven. And so we're more vulnerable to like manipulation or being taken advantage of. And then I also talked about like this, we have to take into context that he is speaking from a different society and a different time in history. So I don't think it should be taken offensively, rather contextually is what I said.
Yeah, that's very, you made a very good point. Let me find your paper. I really appreciated at the very end of it. This is referring to the material body's gender.
Oh yeah.
The soul is equal and genderless. So if people get hung up on this part, then they are not really seeing that we are no more the body. We are trapped in material existence, thinking that this body is all. This reminds me back to Tirth Maharaj. Have you met him? Of course, he's gone now. He left in 2005. You were around in those days, 2005. Back to Tirth Maharaj, he had a black body. Young in 71 or so, extremely brilliant. I mean, even materially, he was Yale University, extremely brilliant, materially and spiritually. And very early when he joined, he came to see to Srila Prabhupada and he said, your disciples are racist. I'm sorry to say. And Prabhupada told him, you know what he told him? I mean, splendid answer. If you identify to their answer, you are as guilty as them. Prodigious answer. If you identify to their answer, you are as guilty as them. So she hit the nail, Sorel. We are not the body. We're not the body. And Guru Govind Maharaj add up to that. He says, women are abal. Abal means not strong physically, okay? But inside they are bal. Bal means powerful. You can see, because I can add up to another thing. It comes to mind, Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj, you know him? Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj, he's been living in Mayapur for 30, 40 years. American devotee, but practically he's like Indian now. He used to say, I remember, I was 10 years in Mayapur. He used to say that, talking about the two different psyche, male and female, he's quite good in those things. Women are always, in the background of their psyche, it's always emotional. But oftentimes they have a spike of, how can I put it, of, they're very, intellectually astute. They're quite, what's the word? Objective.
Interesting subject.
Yeah, my wife is listening now. Yeah, as soon as you talk about women, they come all over. And then he was saying, yes, they are emotionally, always background is emotional, but they have a spike of being, I'm forgetting the adjective now. They are extremely, they can be also, what's the word? I'm forgetting the verb. Anyway, they are quite astute intellectually at times. And for men, it's either or. It's either or. So when men are carried away into Maya, if the woman happens to be, quite posed with her intellect, then she can rectify her husband or whoever it is, actually. He is. And on the contrary, because women tends to be always emotional, men can also help her in that particular domain. So it's complement each other. But it doesn't mean that they can replace each other. And this is the drawback of this today's society, because they want to make it even. It doesn't work. Prabhupada is very blunt. Men and women have a relationship. She gets pregnant and the guy runs away. Who is the loser? The lady is the loser. She's carrying the child. Then she has to cry to the state, please give me some pocket money, allowance money. I cannot manage. This is happening in France day and night. That's why people come here, because huge allowance money. So it's a social country. They come from all over the world. Let me go to France. More kids, more money. So that you have Arabs coming, they have 4 wives. Oh, I've got 4 wives and 23 kids. Please, give. It works like this in France. They encourage this. They encourage you to depend on the system. So what is the outcome of that? Let me not work and watch TV and sell dope. This is, if you don't encourage people to work for themselves, being guided properly spiritually, they will take advantage of the system. This is exactly what's happening here in France. Any more reasons? I'll give the mic to Vignesh in the long run, because he has answered beautifully. But anyone else can add up to that before, Jacob or Goloka. It's a big topic, and we should understand this thing very nicely. Otherwise, Vignesh, you please make your point. His answer is 1 or 2 pages, by the way. And of course, it's thorough. This is called thorough answer from all different angles. I mean, you should be teaching actually the course, Vignesh.
I just go that to
try to sum it up. Try to sum it up, because it's practically 2 pages. Sum it up, because you wrote the paper, so sum it up.
Yeah. So basically, the 1.40 Gita 1.42 basically talks about how women are vulnerable and may get polluted when left unprotected. Now, this most of the people may, it may come out as mentally jarring for many of the modern day conceptions. But I think the Vedic society, it was completely different worldview altogether. It was not in any way, it was considered to overpower women in any sense. Like, not just Prabhupada, but even if you see the very statement, what is written in the Bhagavad Gita itself, the words of the Bhagavad Gita, like it says, Pradushyanti kula striha, family woman gets polluted and it results in unwanted children, like Varna Shankara. So by that logic, we can also say that Krishna is also quite, in that way, quite orthodox. And even feminists may not agree with the statement of Krishna and not just Prabhupada by that logic. So I think the different, perspectives required to understand the relation, how it was perceived in those days and how it is perceived now. Like I would just like to make a point over here that in Vedic tradition, the role of the woman was not simply what is conceived today. Now it was mostly a maternal perspective that was there to women, and by that I would say, like when Prabhupada says that woman is less intelligent. Now that is not exactly referring to the intelligent processing ability, that normally happens today. It is mostly on a platform that at ultimate level we understand that we are not the body, we are the soul. So by that logic, both men and women are same. There is no difference. And even at a material level, we understand that there are certain differences physiologically or psychologically, whatever we may call it. So that differences are there. And maybe I would just like to read the small paragraph that I have written. It's just basically I owe it to mentor Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Yeah. So basically, I just stated that in the Vedic culture, intelligence is the ability to differentiate between the matter and the spirit. And the intelligence begins by understanding that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So the body limits identification is strong for everyone in the material world, both for men as well as women. But in general, it is stronger for the women because women have a form that is attractive and alluring to men, and to a large extent for a woman if she is not spiritually minded. Her sense of self-identity, her self-worth comes largely from a bodily form. In that case, to understand that the self is not the body is that much more difficult. So the misidentification of the spirit with the matter is much stronger when the spirit interacts in a female body. And another aspect of this misidentification with the female body is that it leads to excess of emotionality than compared to rationality. So in general, it is understood that women are more emotional and men are more rational, although exceptions do exist. And it's a general scenario what is observed and what Vedic tradition normally talks about. Now, in this sense, male body is more suitable for understanding the philosophy. This is a general principle and will not apply to all specific cases. And in this sense, even the capacity to be overwhelmed by the emotions is greater in the case of women. Now, that is not the disadvantage. In fact, that is one of the best advantages that woman has as a function as a mother. She has the capacity to experience emotion, and that is much more vital. So in fact, very often children behave in a very rational ways, or I would say irrational ways. And if women who were to act as mothers were to see their children only through the lenses of rational spectacles, then they would not be able to offer that kind of unconditional love to their children, which I think men will not be able to do that, because men are more rational, and they will not be able to understand and develop a children in that way as what women do normally. So I think in that role, Vedic tradition normally focus a lot, and so one role is maybe like she has a maternal role that has to be focused on, which was the whole point of Vedic culture that was emphasized and that was glorified, and not the other aspect of temptation that normally today we focus upon. So I think that is a difference in the perspective and the emphasis that Vedic literature puts upon women. They respect both men as well as women. At the same time, they understand in a very pragmatic way, in a practical way, how at a material level there are some differences and that need to be accepted and work together so that we can fulfill the ultimate purpose of our life.
Yeah, well answered, Vignesh. Yeah, definitely. I would add up by quoting from Kapil Dev, and you know the story in the third canto between Kardam and Devahuti. Oftentimes, this is a good section to read when you are about to get married, because it deals in depth about the respective psyche of both genders. So there, you know, Kardam Muni is going to marry the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. We are talking about the Adi Manu at the beginning of this day of Brahma, this Kalpas, way back. And Prabhupada said there, the woman should be psychologically tuned up to the husband. That's difficult because husband maybe obviously is different. So, but on her part, she has to be psychologically tuned up to the husband. That's not easy because she may be right at times, but she has to be able to swallow that, not to offend the husband, because husband obviously has more false ego. It's a fact. Male, you see more ladies in spiritual circles than men, by far. Not only in this country, worldwide. So in that sense, they have an advantage because they are more prakriti already. We are meant to be enjoyed by God. We are prakriti. So this prakriti nature is obviously there in women. It's there also in men, but man is more purush. So now, if she can manage to do that, she will control the husband, Prabhupada said. And because Sorel made a very good point, I'm going back to her text, her answer. I would also give lots of examples where Prabhupada highlights the intelligence of women and mostly says that all this stuff in the text is there because men are easily led by women. This is true. So apparently, Prabhupada is very expert in that passage, first third canto, Kapil Dev, Devahuti, and Kardam Muni. It looks like apparently they are being led by men, but actually they lead men. You understand the trick? Because they are so recessive. In a Vedic manner, like Vignesh is saying, they are so motherly, they are so womanly also, because they're so chaste. For a man, it's more attractive a chaste woman than a loose woman, isn't it? Especially if you have some virtue. So then, you know, then because they are expert at tuning up to the psyche of the husband, actually, at the end of the day, they control the husband. So they're not the loser, they're the winner. Prabhupada saying like that. That is why in India, especially in the pious families, they become so attached to each other. Prabhupada say they're so attached, they take birth again and again as couple. They're swapping roles, husband and wife. Now they just swap around. Oh, you become the husband, I become the wife. And on for years, for life together. Prabhupada said that is why it's difficult to men in those days to make Indian devotees, because they will give you money, they won't part their children. Isn't it? Because they know so much how to love each other in a Vedic way. The downside of that, obviously, what is the downside of that? Is that you become too attached. Even if you're attached Vedically in the mode of goodness, that's also bad. Because at the end of the day, it's difficult to leave your wife. It's difficult to leave your children. That is why Prabhupada said, you people, the whites, you are the whites, at least you are detached. You are more detached. And he told the hippies in the 60s, this is a great advantage. You may be hippie, you may be downtrodden, but at least you already left your family. So in that sense, this is one of the advantages of the whites, because you're not so attached. Indians are very attached to families, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yes, Goloka?
Especially, I think more so today.
Sorry?
I think especially it is more so today, because I think in those times, especially in Vedic times, there was a proper Varnashrama culture.
Yeah.
So when people used to have some brahmacharya, then they used to live a grihastha life, and then they were instructed to leave the house and follow the further stages of Varnashram dharma.
Yeah.
So I think that is not there today. So even people who are attached to family will be there till the end of their life, completely attached.
Yeah. So anyway, like the bottom line, the final lesson is we're not the body, and we have to appreciate each other. This is very important in married life. I've been married for 30 years, 2 marriages. So I start to understand the lesson. Took me 2 years it took me 2 marriages to understand I'm not fit for that, but at least I got the lesson. So unless and until we appreciate each other, because it's a totally different, there's a book even, they're coming from a different planet. There's some from Mars, from Venus, whatever. It's quite different, men and women. Prabhupada used to say, he was sometimes very blunt, men alone, great, women alone, great, together, mess. And we have to be honest. When you look at the marriages performed by Srila Prabhupada, it was a fiasco. Who remained together? My Guru Maharaj in the early days, I was one of his first. Also, he made a point of honor. Let me marry them. I'm the father. This is my daughter. Please, I'm giving it to you. You see, it was like very orthodox. Fiasco. Prabhupada had to stop the marriages himself. He pulled out of it. My Guru also pulled out of it. Because we don't have a good samskar. We join at 25, 20, whatever. Where are the samskar? Even we have seen the divorce rate in ISKCON practically is matching with the material world, isn't it? Am I talking nonsense? No. So one of the important points to assimilate is that we should be quite great, should be quite appreciative. That's the word, appreciative of each other. This is how we can last in the long run. Otherwise, once the romance is over, you are faced with the reality. You are faced with reality. And if you want to last long until, don't spoil the children, don't spoil the marriage, basically you have to keep on appreciating each other and keep your cool and keep your temper and be tolerant. And at times the boat will rock, no doubt. But we should always remember, at least we should have a spiritual goal together. Even if we don't really match in terms of subtle and gross parts of the system, if we have a similar goal, that's why we should make sure we marry someone who is somewhat tuned up spiritually with ourselves. It's important also that the wife can look up to the husband. If the husband is less advanced spiritually than the wife, there's a problem. Because she may say, well, you know, she can feel for herself that she's not a fool. This husband is not so much steeped in wisdom, so much steeped in practice. And that's the open door for the end of it. So that's my own humble realization that the husband should be somewhat little more advanced spiritually, because at least the woman will always be concerned. Yes, at least that may be difficult, but at least he's Krishna conscious. He wants Krishna. That will help also the relationship. Anyway, I'm not going to give a seminar on Grihastha Ashram, but thank you for your input, Vignesh, and thank you for everyone. It was a nice topical issue. Okay, let's carry on. What else did I give you in terms of questions? That's it. Huh? Let's carry on and try to finish off the chapter. Any questions on those 5 doubts of Arjuna?
So just to be clear, so we have compassion, doubt, sin, destruction of the dynasty. And then what's the last one?
Yeah, the last one will come up in the beginning of the 2nd chapter. Indecision. So to recap, compassion, enjoyment. How can I enjoy if everyone is dead? Sin, destruction of family. And destruction of family, we have discussed, there's a lot of subtitles within that. Be aware of all the connections in between, because they'll come up in the exam for sure. Okay, so let's finish off. Where are we? 43, I believe. 44, you can finish it off. There's 46 verses.
Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen.
Yeah, finish it off because, you know, it's almost finished.
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
That's a big blow. Huh? As I said, he took the vow that whoever hints at the fact that I should put down my bow, I'll kill him. So you can see he's totally downcast. Okay, so basically, we're going to enter, we have time. We're going to enter the 2nd chapter. I know you guys didn't look. Did you look into it a little bit or not at all? Huh? Because I didn't tell you, I guess. Did you look into it?
Yeah.
I read a little bit.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That was the most important, I mean, for my Guru Maharaj who left the world, it was his favorite chapter, I remember. Sankhya Yoga. That's the name in English, in Sanskrit. Sankhya. Sankhya means Sankhya, to enumerate, to count. So this actually Gita starts there in one sense. Mahabharata is overspilling in the Gita in the 1st chapter. But technically, I mean, Gita, the fundaments will start here. So bear in mind, 2nd and 18 chapter is a recap of the whole Gita. In one sense, Gita finishes at the end of 17. 18 chapter will be a recap, a very thorough recap of the whole book. 2nd chapter is like a preview of the Gita. Everything's going to be thrown a bit disorderly. So that is why beginning of the 3rd chapter, Arjuna is completely confused. Many things are going to be brought about in the 2nd chapter. We're going to discuss about Atma Gyan, knowledge of the soul. We're going to, for the first time, the Vedas will appear on the table. Karma Kand, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, the Gunas, Sthita Pragya. So it's quite, there's a lot of things in the Gita, in the third chapter. It's like thrown in the third second chapter. Krishna is giving like a preview of the whole book. That is why it's, especially if it is your first reading, it may become confusing at the end of the second chapter. Okay, so let's move into the first verse. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone?
Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears. Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words.
Yeah. So we can see, yeah. Yes, go ahead. You wanted to
Oh, I
say?
didn't know if you wanted me to continue. I'll let you talk.
Well, basically, the effects of Dharmakshetra is visible here in Arjuna. We have to understand that we should not only despise Arjuna, oh, he is off, his arguments are totally off. So is at the same time, the very fact that is having all this, going through this turmoil, emotional turmoil inside, this is the proof that his heart is so soft, isn't it? His heart is soft like a devotee's heart should be. So this is the proper recipient to receive knowledge. If you are arrogant and vain and challenging, you don't have the proper attitude to receive knowledge. So we can see that the state of mind of Arjuna is definitely quite encouraging for Krishna to dispose, to plant the seed of knowledge, of Atma, Gyan, because he has the right predisposition, I would say. Do you follow? That is why it's called Sankhya Yoga, because it's going to be an analytical study of the differences between matter and spirit. Okay, so now immediately Krishna is going to start speaking to two.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy."
Yeah. So you can see here, Shri Bhagavan Uvaj. There is a sandhya. It's going to come out very clearly in the coming verses. A sandhi. Sandhi means there's a transition. Remember, they are cousin brothers. They have been eating together. They've been sharing the same bed. Practically, they are extremely close. Remember, they are about, Krishna is about 100 years old. Yudhishthira is 90. Arjuna is 85 or so. They have been going through life together practically. They know each other quite well. But here, Krishna is changing his hat. And it's quite heavy. Listen to the Sanskrit. Kutas twa kashmalam midam. Kashmala means impurity. You're dirty, Arjuna. You are totally an Arya. It's a big insult. An Arya. You're not an Arya. The Aryan culture means the progressive culture. That tradition, a whole generation that move forward, they're trying to free themselves from the bodily concept of life. They're trying to be spiritually emancipated. This is Aryan tradition. In his folly, in his madness, Hitler used that word, the Aryan tradition, the Aryan culture. He was mad. He even turned over the swastika. You know that. So he had definitely an attraction for Vedic culture. He was even vegetarian, but he was mad. He was thinking we can beget the Aryan culture by dint of breaking down things materially speaking. We can create a new race. And to get rid of the Jews, we want only blonde people with blue eyes. That was the folly of Hitler. So he just, tidbits he picked up from the Vedic text. He was somewhat interested, but he mixed it up all together. He had no spiritual practice. So, but the Aryan it's a word, it's a Sanskrit word, Aryan. Aryan means progressive culture. So he's telling him, Anarya Jushtamash Vargyam. It's doesn't befit you, doesn't suit you, Arjun. I know you better. You are the half man as you used to be. Like Paul McCartney is singing, I'm half the man I used to be. Exactly the same. Akirti, it's infamous. Kirti means fame. It's unglorious. It's infame. You won't go to Svargalok, Arjun. So you can see Krishna is heavy. And of course, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, we have to understand, is going at length about the three features of the absolute truth. You know that aspect of the philosophy?
Yeah.
Vadanti tadvavidas tadvam yajamanagadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. It's advaya gyan. Is there three absolute truths? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan? Or is there one? Advaya gyan, it's non-dual. You cannot dissect the absolute truth. It's advaya. So please explain, what is it? These three things, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Are these three absolute truths? Different from one another? What is it?
These are different ways that the absolute truth manifests to the jiva.
Yeah, exactly. So please explain slightly. I mean, you don't have to go in depth, but each one of those.
Brahman is the all-pervading aspect of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the localized, super soul within everyone's heart.
Yeah.
And then Bhagavan is the original personality and form of Krishna.
Excellent. Okay. And we did three shows together, I believe. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Remember 15? Hiranmayana Patrana Satya Syapayita Mukham. Please remove that glaring effulgence. It blinds me. I want to see you face to face. The devotee is not bewildered. Even Mahaprabhu says in the CC, the word Brahman for devotee means Krishna. One time my Guru Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, for pure devotee, is it Paramatma in the heart? Or is it Bhagavan two-armed Krishna? Prabhupada said, no, it's two-armed Krishna for pure devotee. So, once we have Yasmin Vigyate Savamevam Vigyatam Bhavanti, once you have Krishna, you have everything. So you know the story, sunshine. Can you explain this thing? I guess you know. Huh? It's the story of the hill, the analogy of the hill, the analogy of the sun, to explain the three aspects. Everyone knows these things? Huh? Sorel, Goloka?
Yeah, it is. You have the sun sign,
Yeah,
and sun god.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Three. Again, Krishna is heavy. Klebhyam, Kshudram, Hridayado Balyam means weakness of heart. It's degrading, Arjuna. You are, let's say you have a good friend, all of a sudden your friend has changed totally. You're telling him what's wrong with you, what's happening.
Calling a warrior impotent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, if you look into the Sanskrit, you understand how heavy it is. It's insulting. It doesn't become you, Arjuna. What's wrong with you? It's degrading. Tyakto utisht, utisht. I tell my son in the morning, ut, get up. He speaks Hindi a little bit. Ut. He likes to sleep. Tyakto utisht. Left, get up and fight. So in one sense, Gita, just imagine if Arjun get the point here, 2-3. If Arjun was to get the point here, what would happen? There's no Gita. There's no Gita. So for the sake of edifying the humanity at large, Arjun, is not going to get it right. It's going to last for 45 minutes or so. Alors, Arjun now is going to reply. Go ahead. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. Yes, up to 8. 4 to 8, it's one go. You can just read out. Goloka, if you want, you can read out 4 to 8 in one go.
Arjuna said, "Okay, Lord Madhu Krishna, how can I counteract the arrows in battle? Men like Bhisma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship. It's better to live in the world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls, who are my teachers. Even though they are avaricious, they are nonetheless superiors. If they are killed, all our spoil will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. The son of Dhritarashtra, whom we'll kill, we should not care to leave, are now standing before us on the battlefield. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is the best for me. Now I am your disciple, and his soul surrenders unto you. Please instruct me."
Thank you, Goloka Mataji. So Arjun is speaking. Is going to lay out now his last argument, which is,
I can find no mean to drive away the grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to destroy it even if I win an enviable kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like that of the demigod in heaven.
But in one word, what is the last argument of Arjuna? From 4 to 8, we can decipher this argument. It's called indecision. But very interesting, because he's putting forward arguments, but still the way he addresses Krishna, by the particular names he addresses Krishna, we can fathom that he's still pleading for his for a solution. Look at this. Madhusudan in 4. Why is he calling him Madhusudan? What's the meaning of Madhusudan?
The killer of Madhu.
Yes. So in other words, he's putting forward, he's running out of steam actually. He's still putting forward some arguments, but please, Madhusudan, you killed Madhu long back. Please kill the doubts in me. I don't know actually what I should do. I'm a little confused. Kill the doubts. You understand? So on one side, he's still putting forward his arguments, but inside he's still calling for help, because he remains Arjun. We cannot become Arjun. Arjun is a Vishnu Parikar. Arjun bounces off from one Bomalila to the next. Arjun and Kunti never goes back to the spiritual world. They're always in Bomalila. Always, always, always. They finish one show here, next. Another battle, another Kurukshetra, another Gita. Gita has been spoken millions of times. Millions. All these Leelas are recurring. As soon as Krishna leaves off the stage, he starts off the same Leela elsewhere. You understand? So that's why the Acharya sometimes they may not necessarily refer to the same battle. So the theme remains the same, but details may vary. So in 5, again, it's very clear now, he's advocating, might as well beg Krishna. Might as well beg. So in one sense, he's totally refusing, he's rejecting his dharma. That's unheard of. Have you seen a Kshatriya begging? By law, they should have something to rule. They are meant to rule. They have some Ishvara Bhav. They need some space to rule. That's wanted for them. But he knows better. He prefers the embarrassment of begging to the sin of killing his worshipable elders. Why? Because he still considers them gurus. So we could, I think did I ask you this question already long back? Why in one sense they are gurus, they are so elderly, they are so noble. Bhishma is Mahajan himself. So why they should be not listened to? Drona is son of Bharadwaj. Can you imagine? It's one of the Saptarishi. Bhishma is Vasu, coming from, is a demigod. He's a Mahajan on the level of Yamaraj, of Shiv. So why they shouldn't be listened to?
They are taking the wrong side. They want the
Exactly.
people.
See, we're always coming back to square one. What is the square one? Dharma should be upheld, even over and above friendship and enmity. Because you may say it's a lila, okay, Bhishma took that side so that Krishna could prove that even if you are dharmic, but you take the wrong side, you will be the loser. But the final lesson is to understand we should always side with dharma. This is the final lesson. Even if you have everyone against you. One time, one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, but if there's nothing else, we have to eat meat. Just imagine you preach in North Pole, or in Finland, way up to the Arctic Pole there. So Prabhupada said, yes, but I won't. I will not. I would rather die. So, he's sticking to Dharma. So this is the lesson. We should always stick to Dharma, basically. And that is why they had to be rejected, because they ate the grains of the Kauravas. They didn't move an inch when Draupadi was disrobed. So on that plea itself, they had to incur the reaction. So now, 6 very clearly indicates his indecision, his indecisive nature. Isn't it? Even though he has put forward good arguments, moral arguments, but at the end of the day, I don't know. Should I conquer? Should I be conquered? So he's indecisive. So it means to say his arguments were not well funded. Otherwise, he would be steeped in his decision. And now 7 is quite indicative also. Karpanya doshopahata svabhava. Yes, he admits to himself. Yes, you're right, Krishna. Karpanya doshopa. Dosh means false. Yes, I'm miserly. I'm a kripana. If you don't tackle the problems of life to come out of this world, you're a kripana. There's a verse like this in the Brihat Ayanaka Upanishad. Yo Vaitad Aksharam Gagya Vidit Vasman Loka Kritis Kripanaha. You're a Kripana. If you don't solve the problems of life before dying, you're a Kripana. So he's kind of advocating that. Karpanya Doshupahata. Yes, I'm endowed with miserliness. It's difficult to understand, Krishna, the subtleties of religion. Prichami, I'm asking, please. Confidently, Nischitam. And then he goes, Shishyaste Ham Shadimam Tvam Prapanam. Yes, I want to become your Shishya, your disciple. Instruct me. I'm surrendered. But we're going to see it's not deep surrendered. It's just, sometimes we say crocodile tears. You understand crocodile tears? You cry, but it's not deeply felt. You will see in 2 verses what it does. But at least one thing we have to admit, he's got the proper field so that the Guru Krishna Prashadipoy Bhakti Lata Bij, the Bhakti Lata Bij is going to be planted in the heart. So he's got the proper disposition. Confusion is part of knowledge. How can you inquire if you're not confused? So everything is there to receive the instruction. It's going to come in 2 verses from 11. It's got the proper, his heart is the proper recipient for that seed to be planted. And 8 is carrying on in his lamentation. It's Vishad Yog. I can find no means to drive away this grief. I'm not interested even to reign as a demigod on earth, to win over the whole kingdom. It's not worth it, Krishna. Not only it's not worth it, but I'm confused now. It goes further into the dilemma. I'm confused. Please help me. So, you may have been in that situation in your life. Sometimes you're so confused, you just you stop acting. Have you been in that situation? I'm so fed up, I'm confused. So let me stop. Let me go for a walk. So this is the state of affair. And it drops everything. I think you say in English to sulk. And he's in a sulking mood. You say sulking mood. This is exactly what it is. And 9, he was saying 7. Remember, he's saying, I'm your sweet disciple, Krishna. And look at 9. What is he saying in 9? He's sulking. I shall not fight. Just like a boy, you have a child, he said, no, I won't do it, mom. I won't do it. Forget it. This is sulking mood. Sulking. I felt so. I won't forget it. So even though he just said in 7, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. You understand? That's going to come. But still, for the time being, he hasn't come to that full surrender as yet. And now look at Lord Krishna's reaction. We're coming to the entrance of Lord Krishna as Guru. Now it's going to come. 11. 11 means the first verse where Krishna is instructing as God. This is God speaking. It's no more cousin brother. Now it's Bhagwan. But 10, what is he doing in 10? What does he do in 10? Prahasan Iva Bharat. Prahasan means it's a verb to smile. Why Krishna is smiling? Why Lord Krishna is smiling? It's a very tense situation. It's dramatic. The battle may not even happen. His main warrior is pulling out. That could be dramatic. You're counting on him to kill all these gundas, all these asuras. And Arjuna is pulling out. I shall not fight. And Krishna is smiling peacefully. So why? It looks like it's gone. Why? It's out of tune. He's smiling. Why?
And the purport says that because Arjuna, his friend like Arjuna is his friend, but Arjuna accepted him as his disciple, as his teacher. That's why.
Yes,
See, because
exactly.
a friend has chosen to become a disciple.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's called Sandhi. I think I mentioned it before. Sandhya, there's an overlap of ras. There's different ras. Everything in life is ras. You know what is ras? In Sanskrit, it's a very important word. We're going to discuss Bhaktira Samrit Sindhu. There's 5 primary rasas. There's 7 secondary rasas. Everything we do in life, materially or spiritually, is because of ras. There's a certain pleasure out of it. It creates between 2 persons, 3 persons. We need at least to be a few to develop some ras. So here there's a change of, they were friends, they're cousin brothers for so many decades, but all of a sudden, starting from here, 11, there's a change of ras. It's smiling because he's going to change his hat. He's going to change his profile. So there's a smile. In other words, you haven't shown Arjuna, you haven't shown a lack of judgment. You have shown a lack of judgment. So far, they were talking openly in the action, in presence of both armies, but now, basically, Krishna wants to make fun of Arjuna in a friendly mood. Basically, to put him in some kind of an ocean of embarrassment, if I could say, for his unworthy actions. But at the same time, Krishna has the solution. But the solution will not come from the friend, it will come from the guru. And at this point in time, actually, Srila Prabhupada doesn't reveal it here, but in other Gita, commented by other acharyas, it's mentioned that even from 7 onwards, Arjuna is pleading, my dear Krishna, please, you become my guru. And in the beginning, Krishna will refuse. No, we are friends, we are cousin brothers. What are we talking about? Go to Vyas even. Krishna will tell, go to Vyasadeva, his guru. And then he wants him to build up his intensity. This is called Loryam. Sometimes guru may refuse initiation. So what is the reaction on the part of the candidate, of the disciple? You want to be initiated, your guru refuses you. What do you do? What do you do? You become intense. Just like Tamal Krishna. In those days, he was not Maharaj. He wanted to take sannyas from Prabhupada. 72. Prabhupada refused flatly. How can I, what will my dear disciple, your wife, think? You just got married 2-3 years ago. And he had him, for weeks on end. He refused flatly. And you can read it out. It's very interesting. Tamal Krishna, well, not Prabhu in those days, he would see that at the end of the class, he was like sulking. He would sit at the back. He wouldn't even talk to Prabhupada anymore. So he was trying to is he really keen on taking sannyas? So same story here. Is he really keen to listen? I'm not going to speak as a friend, Arjuna. I'm not going to speak friendly. Be careful. I'm going to change my hat. Are you ready? That's going to be heavy. So this is the Rasa Sandhi. So, in other words, he's becoming serious. He's not laughing, he's smiling only. He contracts his lips, he's going to speak. And that's going to become heavy. I'll stop here because it's a nice junction here. 11, I leave it for Chandra. It's very, very interesting. From here up to 30 is going to be Atmagyan. Atmagyan means Atma Tattva, knowledge of the soul. Practically, those who have a meager knowledge of the Gita, that's why they remember of the Gita. We're not the body. This is this section. It's going to last 20 verses from now to 11 to 30. Only on this point, you're not the body, and from different perspectives, different types of philosophies, Lokayatikas, Bebashikas, Buddhist, Shunyavad, everything will be presented. All the different perspective outlooks will be presented by Krishna. Which argument is he trying to destroy here with this Atmagyan? What do you think? Amongst the 5 doubts, which doubt is he trying to destroy?
Go for it. Compassion?
Exactly. Exactly. This compassion is misplaced and is going to straighten him out. Compassion is for the soul out, not for the body. You don't want to save the coat of the drowning man. You want to save the drowning man, not the coat. So that's going to be, he's going to go for 20 verses. Hare Krishna, I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Any comments?
Yeah, I was just thinking, we have some verses to learn from these 2 chapters.
From the 4 books, you got verses to learn. From the 4 books.
I know.
It's on the list, Mataji. Look at you have 213, Denos Minyata Dehe, you have Matras Pasashti Kontaya 214, you have, look it up. You want to know which verses you want to learn?
Yeah.
It's on the book, it's on the manual.
Okay.
It's all there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to change not this batch because it's too late, but I don't know who did that manual, but I'm going to change the shlok because some shlok should be there and they're not there.
Would you mind sending those to us privately so that we could?
No, but as I said, this batch of yours, I'm not going to change the shlok. I'll stick to the one listed in the manual. But for the next batch, I will change a little bit. Anyway, I'm very happy that you joined the Gita. This is the key book. Very important book. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Happy carry on nicely for this Damodar Vrat. It's always good to do some Vrat. This is a very intense month for making it spiritual advancement. The door is more open even. Moksha Dwaram is more open. Hare Krishna. So take care. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.